Jake was an ordinary teenager living in a small town where everyone knew each other. He had a knack for helping others and often looked out for his friends. One rainy afternoon, as he walked home from school, he noticed something moving near the edge of the sidewalk. Curiosity piqued. He stepped closer to investigate. To his surprise, he found a tiny puppy shivering under a bush, drenched and scared. The little creature had big brown eyes that seemed to plead for help. Jake's heart melted at the sight. He could tell that the puppy was lost and in desperate need of warmth and comfort. Without thinking twice, he knelt down and spoke softly to the pup, trying to reassure him. "Hey there, buddy," Jake said gently. "Don't worry, I'm here to help you." If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you're watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. The puppy cautiously approached him, still trembling but drawn in by Jake's soothing voice. As soon as Jake reached out a hand, the puppy sniffed it and then nuzzled against him. It felt like an instant connection. Jake carefully scooped the little ball of fur into his arms, feeling the warmth of the puppy against his chest. Despite the rain pouring down around them, that moment felt perfect. With the puppy nestled close, Jake hurried home, determined to care for this new friend. He named him Max after thinking about how strong and brave he hoped Max would become. When he arrived home, though, he faced some unexpected challenges. His family wasn't sure about adopting a dog right then. They worried about the responsibilities that came with having a pet. "Mum, please! He needs us!" Jake pleaded as he dried off Max with an old towel. The puppy looked up at them with hopeful eyes that seemed to say thank you. After some convincing and seeing how much love Jake had for this little creature, his family finally agreed to let Max stay, at least for now. In that moment of decision, something special began between Jake and Max. As they settled into their new life together, Jake promised himself that he would do everything possible to keep Max safe and happy. Little did Jake know that this rainy day rescue would change both their lives in ways they could never imagine. Their journey together was just beginning, filled with challenges and adventures that would test their bond and teach them important lessons about love and loyalty in the years to come. As Jake settled Max into his new home, he quickly observed the little puppy's apprehensive nature. Max was small, with a soft golden coat that looked even fluffier when dry. His wide brown eyes seemed to hold a mix of curiosity and fear as he explored his surroundings. Every creak of the floorboards or unfamiliar sound made him flinch, reminding Jake of just how vulnerable this tiny creature was. Max cautiously wandered from room to room, his little tail tucked underneath him. Jake noticed how the puppy would stop and sniff the air, as if trying to gather every detail about this new place he had been brought to. When Jake moved too quickly or made a sudden noise, Max would dart back, seeking comfort in the safety of Jake's presence. It broke Jake's heart to see him so scared, but he was determined to help Max feel secure in his new environment. With patience, Jake began to introduce Max to the comforts of home. He started by offering him a small blanket and some food in a cozy corner of the living room. "This is your little spot," Jake said softly, trying to encourage Max to settle down. At first, Max hesitated and merely sniffed at the food. But after a few gentle nudges from Jake and the enticing scent of the kibble, he took a tentative bite. The look of surprise on his face was priceless. Over time, Jake began spending more quality moments with Max, sitting on the floor and playing with toys or simply talking to him in a calm voice. During these interactions, something magical happened. Slowly but surely, Max began to trust Jake more. He would venture closer during playtime and even nuzzled against Jake's leg for reassurance. Jake found joy in watching Max grow more confident each day. The once fearful puppy started wagging his tail when he saw his new friend approach. One evening, as they snuggled together on the couch while watching TV, Max climbed onto Jake's lap and curled up into a tight ball. That simple act felt like a giant leap forward in their bond. From that moment onward, their connection deepened. Max would follow Jake around the house, eager to be near him. Whether they were playing fetch in the backyard or cuddling during quiet evenings at home, it was clear that trust had blossomed between them. Their journey was just beginning, but already it was shaping into something beautiful, an unbreakable friendship built on love and understanding amidst life's challenges. As Jake sat on the living room floor with Max curled up in his lap, he felt a rush of joy and determination. While the puppy was now safe and secure, thoughts of his family's initial objections loomed in the back of his mind. Bringing a pet home was a big decision, and although they had eventually agreed to let Max stay, it hadn't been an easy conversation. Earlier that day, after Jake found Max, he rushed home, his heart racing with excitement. When he burst through the front door, drenching wet but filled with enthusiasm, he called out for his parents. "Mum, Dad, you won't believe what I found." He held out the tiny puppy for them to see. At first, his parents exchanged quick glances of concern. "Jake," his mum began gently, "we've talked about getting a dog before. It's a big responsibility." "But look at him. He needs us," Jake pleaded, feeling the weight of the puppy's vulnerability in his arms. He knew Max didn't just need food and shelter. He needed love and a home. His dad sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "We have to consider things like training and taking care of him every day. What if you get tired of it?" Jake shook his head vigorously. "I won't. I promise. I'll take care of him every single day. Just give him a chance." After what felt like an eternity of back-and-forth discussions filled with worries about responsibilities and chores, Jake's determination shone through. He shared stories about how lonely life could be for Max outside on the streets, and how scared he looked when Jake found him. That tugged at their hearts. Seeing Jake's passion and sincerity softened their resolve. They finally agreed to give Max a chance, under one condition. Jake would be responsible for feeding him, walking him and cleaning up after him. With a huge grin lighting up his face, Jake could hardly believe they had said yes. Now, as he looked down at Max sleeping peacefully in his lap, Jake realized that taking that leap had been worth it. He couldn't help but feel proud. He had made a choice that changed both their lives forever. With each passing day, he knew they would grow into not just owner and pet, but partners in adventure. Little did Jake know that this decision to rescue Max would lead them both into experiences that would deepen their bond beyond anything they could imagine. The journey ahead was filled with excitement as they embarked on their new life together. As the months passed, Jake and Max's bond continued to grow stronger. From those early days filled with uncertainty, they now shared countless adventures that brought them closer together. Jake took his responsibilities seriously, dedicating time each day to train Max and teach him new tricks. One sunny Saturday morning, Jake decided it was time for Max to learn how to fetch. He grabbed a bright red tennis ball and called out, "Max, come here!" The puppy's ears perked up at the sight of the ball, his tail wagging with excitement. Jake threw the ball across the yard and Max took off like a little rocket. He stumbled a bit at first, but soon he was darting back and forth with pure joy. "Good boy! Bring it back!" Jake cheered as Max dashed after the ball. At first, Max was unsure about returning it, often stopping to chew on the ball instead. With patience and encouragement, Jake showed him how to drop it at his feet. After several attempts, Max finally understood, proudly bringing the ball back each time. The laughter they shared during these moments echoed through the backyard, creating a soundtrack of happiness that would become their signature. As seasons changed, their adventures expanded beyond just training sessions in the yard. On warm summer evenings, Jake would take Max for long walks around the neighborhood. They discovered small parks where Max could run freely and meet other dogs. Each encounter was an opportunity for Max to socialize and learn more about being a dog. He quickly became known as one of the friendliest pups around, always eager to play and make new friends. In winter, when snow blanketed the ground, Jake introduced Max to sledding. They would dash down hills together, with Jake pulling a sled while Max raced beside him, leaping through the drifts with pure delight. Watching Max bound through the snowflakes brought joy that warmed Jake's heart even in the chill of winter. Through every training session and playful adventure, they faced challenges together too, like learning not to chase after squirrels or mastering commands like stay and come. These moments taught them both patience and perseverance. Each little victory cemented their relationship further. They were no longer just owner and pet, but true companions sharing life's journey. As years rolled by, their friendship transformed into something that felt unbreakable. In each laugh shared during playtime or every moment spent snuggled up together at night, Jake realized how fortunate he was to have Max by his side, a loyal friend who had become an irreplaceable part of his life. Little did they know that their bond would soon be tested in ways neither could anticipate. As Jake entered his teenage years, he began to face new challenges, including the harsh realities of bullying at school. Though he had a small group of friends, There were some kids who seemed determined to make his life harder. They would tease him for being different or for his love of things like drawing and reading. Each unkind word felt like a weight on his shoulders, and it began to affect him deeply. During those tough days, Max was always there to lift Jake's spirits. When Jake returned home after a particularly rough day, he would often find Max waiting at the door, tail wagging energetically. It was as if Max could sense Jake's feelings, ready to comfort him with unconditional love. The moment Jake sat on the floor, Max would jump into his lap, offering warmth and companionship that made everything seem a little more bearable. One afternoon, Jake found himself feeling especially heavy-hearted after being teased in gym class. He trudged home, dreading the thought of facing another evening without knowing how to shake off his sadness. But as soon as he entered the house and saw Max bouncing around excitedly, something shifted. Rather than retreating into his room, Jake knelt down to the ground. "Hey, buddy," he said softly, rubbing Max's ears while the puppy nuzzled against him. "Let's go for a walk." The two set out through the neighbourhood, and with every step Jake shared his thoughts aloud, talking about his day and the kids at school who just didn't understand him. Packing all his worries into that simple walk felt freeing as Max trotted alongside him. Every bark and playful jump from Max put a smile back on Jake's face. Max became more than just a pet. He was Jake's confidant during those hard times. In moments where words failed, he found solace in the bond they shared. Whether they were playing fetch or just lounging together at home, it always felt like Max understood him in ways others could not. As weeks turned into months, Jake noticed something incredible happening within himself. With Max by his side, boosting his confidence and providing companionship during hard moments, he started standing taller at school. While the bullies still lingered around occasionally, Jake learned not to let their words define him. The true turning point came when one of the boys who had once bullied him faced off against Jake again one day. This time, however, instead of feeling intimidated or retreating inward, Jake's heart swelled with newfound courage. He stood confidently after remembering all that Max had taught him about loyalty and strength. Little did Jake know that the lessons he learned through these challenges would only strengthen their bond further, showing him that companionship can sometimes be the greatest protection of all. One sunny afternoon, everything changed for Jake and Max. They were at the park, enjoying one of their favourite activities, fetching a frisbee. Jake threw the frisbee high into the air and Max jumped and raced after it with uncontainable excitement. The two were in their element, laughing and playing together as if nothing else mattered. As Max dashed toward the frisbee, Jake noticed a group of kids nearby who had previously bullied him. They were throwing sticks at a nearby stray cat that watched from a distance, clearly frightened. Anger bubbled inside Jake as he saw the cat cowering under a bush, trembling in fear. It hurt him to see something so helpless being treated so poorly. Without thinking twice, Jake's protective instincts kicked in. "Hey, stop it!" he shouted, rushing toward the group with Max following closely behind. The kids turned their heads, surprised at first by his sudden appearance, and then smirking at his audacity. "What are you going to do about it, loser?" one of them taunted. Jake felt a surge of courage mixed with fear. He couldn't let them hurt the cat or anyone else for that matter. "That's not cool, leave it alone," he yelled again as he reached the group. As Jake moved to shield the cat, one of the boys laughed and pushed him back roughly. In that moment, Max sprang into action. This was the first time Jake had seen his loyal friend act with such courage. The puppy rushed forward to stand between Jake and the bullies, barking loudly as if protecting his owner from harm. In a frenzy of movement, one of the boys stumbled backward while trying to get away from Max's barks, causing Jake to react instinctively to keep both himself and Max safe. But in doing so, Jake lost his balance. He fell hard onto the grass with an agonizing thud, feeling pain shoot through his leg. "Jake!" Max whimpered as he ran back to his fallen friend. Seeing Jake on the ground hurt him just as much as it hurt Jake, himself. The bullies became quickly embarrassed by what they saw, realizing they had gone too far. They retreated, but not without throwing a last taunt over their shoulders. "You're such a loser for trying to save that cat." As they left, Max curled tightly against Jake's side, whining softly while trying to comfort him. Jake grit his teeth against the sharp pain, but found solace in his faithful companion's warmth. In that moment of vulnerability, he realized deeper feelings than friendship had grown between them. It was love, a commitment grounded in protection and loyalty. Later at home, With his leg bandaged up from a fall that would take some time to heal, Jake couldn't shake off what had just happened. With Max snuggled close beside him on the couch during recovery days ahead, it dawned on him that this incident marked a profound turning point, not only for how they protected each other, but also how they would face life's challenges together moving forward. After Jake's injury, he found himself spending more time at home than he liked, nursing a sore leg that made movement difficult. In those quiet days of recovery, Max's behaviour shifted in a way that Jake had never seen before. The normally playful puppy seemed to sense that something was wrong, and took it upon himself to become Jake's devoted caregiver. From the moment Jake settled on the couch with his leg elevated, Max stayed close by his side. He would curl up next to Jake, resting his head on the injured leg as if to offer comfort with his warmth. Each time Jake winced or shifted due to the pain, Max would lift his head and look at him with deep, concerned eyes. It was as if Max understood that his friend needed him now more than ever. Jake began to notice Max's unusual attentiveness. When it was time for Jake to take his pain medication, Max would sit up straight and watch him intently, as if reminding him not to forget. Whenever Jake's spirits were low, Max would nudge him with his nose, or bring him one of his favourite toys, a small, squeaky bone that had seen many adventures. It was a simple gesture, but it made Jake smile and feel loved during moments of discomfort. As days passed, their bond grew even stronger through these shared experiences. When Jake laughed or talked softly to Max, the puppy would wag his tail enthusiastically, eager to engage in any way he could. During times when Jake felt frustrated or bored, he would lean down and pet Max, who always responded with affectionate licks and playful nudges. In those interactions, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose despite the challenges he faced. One evening, as they sat together watching the sunset from the living room window, a sudden storm rolled in. Thunder rumbled loudly, making Jake jump slightly. Instantly, Max reacted by jumping off the couch and moving to Jake's side, pressing against him for reassurance. Instead of barking or running away in fear like some dogs might do, Max seemed to draw strength from being close to Jake and quickly calmed down. That moment solidified something important in Jake's heart. Max was not just a pet, but a true companion who sensed his emotions and offered unwavering support. The love between them had deepened in ways that words could hardly express. As healing progressed and Jake slowly regained strength in his leg, he realized how much their relationship had transformed during this time. Max had become his protector, in a way that mirrored how Jake once protected him. Their journey together was evolving into a partnership grounded in mutual care and understanding, one that would prepare them for whatever challenges lay ahead. Little did they know that soon, their bond would be tested once more in ways they could never expect. As Jake continued to recover, the bond between him and Max became even more profound. It was as if Max had developed an intuitive sense for Jake's emotions, responding not just to his physical state, but also to the subtle shifts in his mood. There were days when Jake felt overwhelmed by frustration or sadness, and during those times Max would instinctively know. One afternoon, as rain pattered against the window, Jake sat on the couch feeling defeated. He stared at his bandaged leg, wishing he could run around with Max like they used to. Just then he felt a gentle nudge against his hand. Looking down, he found Max staring up at him with those soulful brown eyes. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. Jake felt an overwhelming wave of comfort wash over him, and he smiled despite his frustration. "Hey there, buddy," Jake said softly as he scratched behind Max's ears. At that moment, he understood that Max wasn't just a pet. He was a friend who truly comprehended his feelings. When days felt dull and painful, Max brought sparks of joy through simple actions, like bringing Jake his favourite toy or wagging his tail excitedly when he sensed a glimmer of happiness returning to Jake's face. Max even altered his behaviour depending on how Jake was feeling. On days when Jake needed more space to heal, Max would lie quietly beside him without demanding attention. But on days when Jake felt restless or bored, Max would bounce around playfully, bringing energy into the room that encouraged Jake to get up and move around just a bit more than before. One morning, after feeling particularly motivated to improve his mobility, Jake decided to hop around the living room using crutches. Every time he took a step forward, Max would follow closely behind, keeping pace as if cheering him on. Whenever Jake stumbled slightly on his crutches and caught himself from falling, Max jumped up as if asking if he was okay. Jake often marvelled at how deeply their connection had grown during this recovery phase. He realised that their relationship mirrored that of true partners, each lifting the other up in different ways whenever challenges arose. The unconditional love that emanated from Max created an atmosphere of warmth and support that empowered Jake to push through, even when things got tough. As they sat together watching birds flutter outside the window or listening to the drizzling rain, it became clear that their companionship had transformed them both. They had become each other's emotional anchors amid life's unpredictability. In those quiet moments filled with understanding and care, it struck Jake. This bond was not just about mutual protection. It was about growing stronger together through shared experiences. With every passing day of recovery and companionship, the lessons learned from one another cemented their relationship further, a testament to how dogs can uniquely sense emotions and provide comfort in times of need. As they prepared for whatever awaited them next, both Jake and Max were ready to face new challenges together with unshakable loyalty and love guiding their path forward. Years passed, and Jake grew into a confident young man, fueled by the lessons he had learned alongside Max. They experienced many milestones together, from Jake's graduation to the excitement of heading off to college. The bond they forged remained strong through all the changes in their lives. However, as Jake settled into his new independence, he soon found himself grappling with a challenging situation that shook him to his core. During his second semester in college, Jake faced unexpected pressure from a demanding course load. Alongside his studies, he was also working part-time to help cover expenses. The stress began to mount, leaving him feeling overwhelmed and anxious. While he had initially thought he could balance everything, the reality was far more daunting than he anticipated. To add to his worries, Jake received shocking news. A close family member fell seriously ill. This news hit hard, shattering the sense of stability Jake had managed to create in his new life. The combination of academic pressure and personal turmoil became an emotional weight that felt nearly impossible to bear. In those moments, he found himself retreating into a shell, struggling to cope with feelings of despair. Max sensed the shift in Jake almost immediately. The usually bright household turned quieter under the weight of Jake's emotions. Max would quietly watch him from across the room, ears perked up and tail down, a clear sign that something was bothering his beloved friend. It broke Jake's heart to see Max looking so concerned. One evening, after a particularly exhausting day filled with studies and worrying about his family member's health, Jake sat on the floor with his back against the couch, head resting in his hands. That was when Max approached him softly, nuzzling against his side before lying down next to him. The gentle warmth of Max's presence felt like a comforting embrace, wrapping around Jake during his time of distress. "Why does everything have to be so hard?" Jake whispered as he petted Max, absent-mindedly. It was moments like these that reminded him how much he depended on Max for emotional support. Suddenly, tears filled his eyes. He hadn't allowed himself to cry for weeks, trying so hard to remain strong. Max whined softly and licked at Jake's hand as if encouraging him to let it out. Their connection deepened yet again. In this moment of vulnerability, Jake realized that he didn't have to face everything alone. With each tear that fell, he felt a little lighter, comforted by Max's loyalty and love. Days turned into weeks, yet through it all, Max remained at Jake's side like an anchor amidst turbulent waters. He stayed by Jake's side during late-night study sessions and accompanied him on walks when fresh air was needed. Through their shared experiences during this difficult time, Max continued proving that true companionship means providing unwavering emotional support even when life feels hardest. Both also learned valuable lessons about resilience and healing together, not solely as owner and pet, but as trusted friends navigating life's ups and downs side by side. Little did they know that soon they would encounter challenges that would test their bond in ways they never expected. But for now, they drew strength from one another as they faced this difficult chapter together. One evening, after a long day of studying, Jake returned to his apartment feeling particularly overwhelmed. The weight of schoolwork and family concerns pressed heavily on his mind, and he decided to take a break by stepping outside for some fresh air. As he walked through the quiet neighborhood, Max trotted happily beside him, ever the loyal companion. Suddenly, they turned a corner and found themselves near an alley where a group of rowdy teenagers were hanging out. Jake recognized some of them as the same boys who had bullied him in high school. A knot formed in his stomach and he instinctively felt the urge to turn back. But before he could do so, he heard shouting from the group. "Hey, look who it is!" one of the boys yelled, pointing at Jake. "It's the loser from school!" Jake's heart raced as memories of past taunts flooded his mind. He tried to ignore them and keep walking, but the jeers escalated, and soon they began approaching him, blocking his path. Just as panic threatened to overwhelm him, Max's demeanor shifted dramatically. Without any hesitation, Max stepped between Jake and the approaching group, standing tall with his fur bristling slightly. He barked fiercely, eyes fixed on the boys with unwavering determination. It was a stark transformation from the playful pup Jake had known. In that moment, Max was acting not just as a pet, but as a protector. "Get your dog away from us," one of the boys yelled, clearly taken aback by Max's sudden assertiveness. But instead of retreating, Max took a step forward, growling softly while keeping his gaze steady on the boys. Jake felt a rush of both fear and pride. He was astounded by Max's bravery. This was the same puppy he had rescued all those years ago. "Max, it's okay," Jake said gently but firmly, trying to calm his friend down while reassessing the situation. With Max by his side, he felt a flicker of courage ignite within him. The boys hesitated, surprised by Max's protective stance. They exchanged glances, clearly unsure how to react to this unexpected show of loyalty from a dog. Taking a deep breath, Jake straightened up and spoke with newfound confidence. "Leave us alone. I'm not afraid of you anymore." To Jake's surprise, the bullies backed away slowly. They had always found joy in tormenting him, but now they faced something formidable: Max's unwavering loyalty and Jake's resilience. With one last sneer, they retreated into the shadows of the alley. As the tension faded and silence returned to the street, Jake knelt down beside Max, patting him affectionately. "You were amazing. I can't believe you stood up for me like that." Max wagged his tail vigorously, sensing Jake's gratitude. In that moment, Jake realized just how much their bond had evolved over the years. Max had grown from a frightened puppy into a protector who sensed when Jake needed strength the most. This experience solidified their connection even further. They were no longer just companions, but partners who would stand by each other through every challenge life threw their way. With renewed confidence and gratitude swelling in his heart, Jake knew that together they could face whatever came next, united as friends and protectors in a world that sometimes felt daunting. As the years passed, the profound love and loyalty between Jake and Max only grew stronger, reinforcing the unique bond shared between humans and their canine companions. Their journey together had been filled with numerous challenges, each one serving to deepen their connection and teach them valuable lessons about trust, courage, and resilience. Reflecting on their experiences, Jake realized that Max was not just a pet, he was an irreplaceable part of his life. From the moment they first met in the rain to the countless adventures they shared since then, Max had been by his side through thick and thin. The little puppy Jake rescued had evolved into a fierce protector who could sense when Jake needed support, offering unwavering love during some of the most challenging times. One day, as they lounged together in the backyard under the warm sun, Jake thought back on everything they had overcome. The memories flooded his mind. The times Max comforted him after long days at school, stood up for him against bullies, or simply provided companionship when he felt lonely. It was these moments that moulded their relationship into something truly special. Max lay beside him, eyes half closed but alert to every sound around them. There was an undeniable understanding that passed between them. It was as if they could communicate without words. In that silence, Jake felt grateful for all the ways Max had supported him, teaching him that love is often shown through loyalty and presence. Jake's heart swelled with appreciation as he watched Max stretch out comfortably in the grass. He reached down to scratch behind his ears, eliciting a happy wag of the tail in response. "You're my best friend," Jake whispered softly. It was a simple statement, but one that carried immense weight, a promise forged from years of shared experiences. Through laughter and tears, victories and setbacks, their bond illustrated how dogs possess an extraordinary ability to empathize with human feelings. Their relationship showcased how animals can become more than just pets. They become family members who enrich our lives in ways we may not always realize until looking back on cherished moments. As twilight began to settle over the horizon and stars twinkled to life above them, Jake felt ready for whatever challenges awaited them next. With Max by his side, his loyal protector and companion, he knew he wouldn't have to face anything alone. In a world filled with uncertainties, Jake held on to one certainty: love is a powerful force that transcends boundaries and heals wounds, whether it comes from a human heart or from a furry friend who has grown into an irreplaceable part of one's life. Together, they would navigate whatever came next with unshakable loyalty guiding their path forward, a testament to the remarkable bond between humans and dogs that lasts through time and trials alike. As Jake sat in the warm glow of the setting sun, he often found himself reflecting on how rescuing Max had changed both of their lives for the better. It was hard to believe that the once timid puppy he had discovered on that rainy day had grown into such a strong and loyal companion. Their journey together had been filled with highs and lows, yet each experience strengthened the bond they shared, teaching Jake invaluable lessons about love, loyalty, and friendship. Jake remembered how uncertain he had felt when he first brought Max home. He was anxious about whether he could care for a pet while managing school and other responsibilities. However, as time went on, it became clear that they were not just helping each other through challenges. They were growing together. Max provided Jake with emotional support during difficult moments, especially when he faced bullying or pressing academic pressures. In those times, Max instinctively knew when to snuggle close or offer a playful distraction, reminding Jake that he was never alone. Every adventure they embarked on, whether it was chasing frisbees at the park or exploring new trails during family hikes, became cherished memories that solidified their friendship. Jake realized these moments with Max taught him about joy and connection in ways that reached far beyond companionship. They were experiences that echoed in his heart as reminders of resilience and vulnerability. Max returned every ounce of love Jake offered with unwavering loyalty. Moments spent together whipped up a comfort that Jake could hardly articulate. They shared an understanding forged through years of standing beside one another through life's trials, a bond so deep that it transcended words. On particularly challenging days, when Jake felt weighed down by worries, he understood why Max seemed to sense his emotions. This instinctive connection created a nurturing environment where both could heal and grow. Each wag of Max's tail or gentle nudge reminded Jake of how far they had come since that fateful day when he rescued him. As twilight turned to night, Jacob found peace in knowing their lives were intertwined so beautifully. He reflected on how rescuing Max wasn't merely about saving a lost puppy. It was also about discovering what true companionship meant. By opening his heart and home to Max, Jake had uncovered not just a loyal friend, but also a lifelong partner who would face every challenge with him. In those quiet evenings under starlit skies filled with laughter and comfort, Jake understood that their journey would continue to unfold together. As they stared at the stars above or lounged peacefully in each other's company, he knew this bond would last through time, a testament to the special relationship between humans and dogs. Rescuing Max had indeed transformed both their lives for the better, fostering an enduring friendship grounded in love that would withstand life's storms.